That's the cart I beefed up. No problems. Remember how I said I left the cart? Now they tore that one up. The other two were in my barn, so... Alright. Yeah, this is the laundromat. Now I gotta change the toilet seat.
Hear that? That's the sound of money. You wanna know what the sound of money is? That's it. Ching, 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 ching. Ching, 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 ching. This laundromat had a boiler and it sat right next here to the softeners. It was a horrible setup. It was old. This laundromat's like 70 years old, so the boiler was like 30, 40 years old. The tank was only a couple years because the previous owner had to change it. I wish they would have known about on-demands and changed it this way. They would have been better off. It's got a Navion. Sorry, my hillbillies sucks at speaking. I got a great big, I think that's 250 gallon tank, 300 gallon tank, whatever. Don't get a tank. Whatever you do, don't get a tank. I would rather have 2 on-demands here, but when I did this, my dealer's like, no, this is the setup. And my dealer, they build laundromats, so I thought they knew what they're doing. No, that's why you got to do your research, because just because they sell stuff doesn't mean they know how to set up a laundromat. Now, one thing I didn't show you was you saw it flashing that code. And I'm going to show you something. Now, my dealer installed this. They did just a great job, right? You think, oh, they know what they're doing. Wrong. That's the exhaust. This is the intake. That should not be vented into the room it's in. I'm going to drill a hole and go through this wall, and I'm going to put it out there. And I'm going to show you why. Because you're sucking in dirty air from inside your building. Look at that. That's what it should look like. That's what it looks like. Now look at it. That's why it's throwing this code. It can't get fresh air. So it's telling the computer, guess what? We're not going to run because we don't want to kill everybody. And they did me a big disfavor by giving me this tank. At the time, they thought, oh, this is a great setup. They're switching all their laundromats out, their stores, all out to on-demands, like the ones I have at my laundromat number 3. So just because they say this is how it's done, do your homework. And I kind of got pilgrimed. And if you don't know what pilgrim is when you buy a laundromat and the dealer tells you everything you want to hear, sells you a great big equipment package and says, nope, they'll come, the customers will come, and they never show up. And then you're stuck holding the bill, and you're stuck trying to make that payment, you can't make it. That's called getting pilgrimed, because they saw you coming. So in the industry, we call that pilgrim. When you guys are sending me emails about, hey, I found this laundromat, the guy wants me to take over the payments, all this other stuff, I'd be very scared of that. That's what I call a pilgrim, because he sets you up to fail. He's going to make money when he sells it, and he really doesn't care how you do afterwards. It's a pilgrim, it's a trunk slammer. Stay away from that kind of thing. You got to do your research. You got to do your numbers, because once you buy this, it isn't like a bad car or a bad date. You can just get rid of them and move on. You're stuck with it. And you may not be able to unload it, and you might have to take a hell of a loss to unload it. Those are things you need to think about. Those are things my banker talks to me about. They say, Keenan, you got to watch. Just because you bought a bunch of great deals doesn't mean the next one's going to be a great deal. You could buy a bad one and you're stuck with it. So you better be happy with what you buy. And that's why whenever I buy investments, I make sure that I don't mind having them for the next 20 years, if that's what it's going to take. Laundromats I like. I get a lot of questions about what I have for water heat. This is laundromat number 2. It actually has a boiler. Now, this was the first one I had to replace. And then you have a little pump there that circulates. And then this is your 250 gallon tank. It's a 200 gallon tank. Tells you what temperature it's at. So here we are, the 4 water heaters and the blue stick. Now what this is, and I hope I say it right, it basically takes the minerals. There's what it is. Scalotron. And you see it runs down there into the main cold water supply. See how these, see that's the hot water up there supply, and that's the cold water down there, and you have gas line on the bottom. Now people ask me, why did I get So many of these. Well, the reason I did is because we thought we were going to use a lot more hot water here, and we're not. So really I only needed 2 of these, one little set of these for this laundromat. Because at peak times you'll need more of hot water. You'll burn through that pretty fast. So 2 is real safe bet if you have a decent laundromat in a decent area. Now what I like about the way this is set up, now I bought the brackets that mount the machines on. You can buy just the water heater without these brackets. But the brackets came with all the plumbing. And what's beautiful about it is you don't have to do a whole lot of work. It's kind of like plug and play if you set up your laundromat right. And down below you can see the gas line goes over here and ties in there. That's why the plumber that set this up said, man, we could have a real nice system, be plug and play. They'll actually sit on their own units. We won't have to mount them to the wall. Those units that they're hanging on mount to the wall and the floor, but they don't actually just have to have the unit mount to the wall. And then you see the vents there. They just go out into the alley. And then my electricity's on top there. There is a vent pipe. You see some plastic there. Those are vent pipes for reliefs. But they're a real nice system. And I mean, it's real. I mean, right now we have them set to 135 degrees. The way these work, they have a computer program in them. So these 2 today will be the primary. So every time there's hot water used, these will work today. Then tomorrow, those 2 will work. They'll actually switch back and forth based on usage and days and that. So the theory is they won't all go bad at the same time. I don't know. But I think what's going to happen in the future here is the other laundromat I showed you where I have the boiler, I may unhook 2 of these and take them to the other laundromat because I think 4 is way overkill, so don't do 4. But when we were building this, when plumbers are building laundromats a lot of times and you tell them the amount of water you're using and you show them the amount of gallons is coming in, they get freaked out. And they're like, right away, they're like, well, we got to have this or you got to have that. Just like my water line. I'm going to show you something funny. I put a 2-inch water line in this laundromat thinking I needed a lot of supply. That's a lot of water. But look what my water meter goes down to. 1.5 inches. Okay? Now why that's funny is because that restricts the flow of that 2-inch. Now the water company actually wanted to give me a 3/4 water meter. They wanted to give me a residential water meter in this place because they figured I wouldn't use that much volume. I mean, it's crazy. They claim a 3/4 line could supply this place just fine. That I did overkill by putting a 2-inch line all the way to the street. I don't know, but I can't see how my other laundromats have 2-inch lines and they get by just fine, and all of a sudden I'm going to have the same as a residential supply. Like I said, from day one this property was weird because all the experts, the plumbing company, the water company, would have different reasons for why I should do this or do that. It just didn't make any sense. So that's how we ended up with probably too many water heaters. But I paid $1,800 a piece for these. Not the end of the world. I'm saving a lot. This place uses nothing for energy at all. Now when it comes to that Scalatron, which is ionizing, whatever it does, deionizes, whatever, it suspends those minerals so that it doesn't break down my heating elements in these. And it also doesn't break down my washers because your hot water is what really tears up your washers. I mean, cold water does too, but hot water, when it starts dropping that calcium through everything, those minerals, that's what hurts everything. So I've noticed a huge difference by having my little Scalatron. I've noticed a huge difference in this laundromat. I don't get the buildup. I don't have the rubber seals on the doors going bad. I don't have the diaphragms, which I called rubbers the other day. I don't have them going bad. My hoses aren't getting all corroded. This laundromat is totally different, and it's been running for about 2.5 years now, and I don't have that problem. So it's kind of interesting. Like, I need to get some more of these ionizing pipes or whatever you want to call them. I need to get some for the other 2 laundromats because they're just a game changer. In this laundromat, when people run the machines on hot water, you know how they want it to suds up? It suds up. It suds up here like if I had a softener system, which is amazing because I don't. Now that stick there is guaranteed. The one I got is guaranteed for 15 years. Okay? So in 15 years, I got to change that thing. It has a disconnect on both ends. Now it's covered in glue. But if you don't put these in, you're going to have a hell of a time getting this pipe out. So if you install one of these, make sure you put couplers on both ends. And that's crucial. I could see some of you just going out and throwing the pipe in and being like, well, heck, 15 years. 15 years will come by pretty quick, and all of a sudden you're sitting there trying to figure out how to unhook this pipe. Right now I've got it set up so I can just unhook it, hook the new one on, and put it in and go. So hopefully that helps some of you. I kind of thought it was neat. I never knew what the thing was before. I'm getting ready to put them in the other laundromats because I love them. I love it. So just food for thought.